late March, early April. And whatever they come up with, we will share with all of you, and would like your response to that. So that is our general thinking on the three components of the site going forward. And at this point, we want to open it to the floor and hear people's reactions to that or anything else related to the Superfund cleanup here in Ringwood. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. So we're certainly open to questions. Anybody from the CAG? Vanessa?
Yes, I have a question. I have been trying to sell my home because since my property was one of the areas that was cleaned from the arsenic, I have now developed serious pulmonary problems. I don't know, I can't blame it on the cleanup of my own personal property, or I'm right on Peters Mine Road. My biggest concern is that I have contacted 6 banks. None of them will send out an appraiser because they are aware of the history of Peters Mine Road and the different sites. They told me the story. I went as far as North Carolina to try to get a bank far away as possible, and they also know of the story. So no one will give me an appraisal. The house is actually worthless. So now my question is, who is responsible if I cannot sell? What, does it just sit there? Do I let it go into foreclosure? Who's responsible? I mean, my health is deteriorating to the point where I won't be around probably to see my grandchildren grow up. But I feel that someone is responsible. The house isn't worth a dime. And I have put thousands and thousands of dollars into my home to try to make it one of the nice homes in Ringwood. And this is my pay. And I mean, no offense to EPA or anyone else, but I've heard this song and dance for the last 35 years of my life. And since my time is coming to an end soon, I'd like to have an answer as far as to what can happen to this home. Because it can't be sold. And if it can't be sold, does Ringwood have to buy it, or what? How does it work?
The short answer is no. The federal government cannot, under this circumstance, purchase your house. I can't speak for the Ringwood Borough folks, but I suspect that will be your answer as well. What the federal government can do and will do is insist and ensure that the area is cleaned up, as Matty said and Judith said, and then we hope that banks will be more reasonable and understand that there is no further, will be no further threat, and that the house has value. That's about the best we can say.
One of the first site I worked on was the chemical insecticide Superfund site in Addison, and they had a very similar problem because the Edison Glen, Edison Woods developments were worthless, essentially because no one wanted to live there, and the banks would not lend money, and they would not, nobody would buy, and people were stuck. They were hostages in their own home. And the only way that changed was when EPA came out. They cleaned up the site, they cleaned up the brook, they cleaned up all the arsenic that represented the risk, and once the cleanup was done, only then did the property values go back up. The signs came down that's warned of danger from the chemicals, and EPA cleaned up the site itself. So once that took place, the property values went back up. The homes in Edison Glen and the Edison Woods in Edison now will sell, but that's only after the cleanup takes place and only after it was fully cleaned to the point where there was no longer a risk from the arsenic in the backyards of the residents who live there.
But whatever cleanup option is selected, you're looking to sell your home rapidly.
Oh, yeah. Exactly, yes.
Yeah, and first, I'm sorry you're going through this, and I understand the difficulty. And you know, young families may not want to buy something near a Superfund site. This is a common problem, but unfortunately, the law does not allow EPA to buy out homes unless you are directly at risk from contamination from the site, which is not the case here. I'm wondering if anyone from the borough might have any advice or insight, because this is probably not the only homeowner going through a situation. Do you have any thoughts on how to handle a situation like this?
While you think about it, I'll just add to Bob, I mean, we've done a study of property values and how it increase in the Superfund process goes forward. And Bob is right that once we have a final remedy, property values do in fact start going back up. They may not directly help you in the sale of that, but may indirectly, because what we want to do is to get to a final decision for cleanup. Because our study showed, we've done a national study which shows, and we could provide that study to you actually, which shows property values do in fact increase as you have the final remedy and move forward on the cleanup.
I think this goes to a central question, excuse me, here tonight, and that's the schedule. One of the frustrations has been, we're almost there, we're almost there. I just heard USGS is looking at the groundwork stuff. What's the schedule to make a decision? How many days from today can the people who live here expect you to say, this is what we're going to do, so there's some finality to the process?
That's a very fair question. Want to go through the timeline? Yeah.
Sure. So we're looking for USGS to finish their look at potential groundwater impacts by late March.
If I may, are they reviewing the RI that was just given to us, or are they doing their own independent work?
So they're going to do both. They're going to do two things. We're going to first ask them to look at all the data that exists for the Peters Mine Pit.
Is it the whole groundwater or just Peters Mine?
It'll be two separate things. They're going to look at the Peters Mine Pit, because that's where we have